Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Michigan Wolverines did it. The game of the night, the NCAA title game goes to Michigan. They beat UConn. Michigan leads the entire second half. UConn never able to tie the game up. Mostly they were down 6 to 10 points. One time they got it a little closer there at the end, but it's Michigan. And now the Big Ten has won men's basketball, women's basketball, and they got the college football title as well. They are rolling. All right, time to talk a little NBA basketball. PK and David Locke and I had a conversation on Friday. Locke was quizzing us about how quickly we thought Ace Bailey could be the man, and he said February. But what about Markkanen? He's getting $50 million. What about Jackson? He's getting $50 million. Isn't that supposed to be guy 1 and 2? Will it really be Keontae or Ace or some combination of all of them? Here's PK and I debating that on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. DJ and PK on Friday, near the end of the show, we had David Locke on for his weekly visit, and he was asking us, when do you think Ace Bailey is going to be ready to take over as the number one option on the team? And after we answered, 2 or 3 years or whatever, he said, how about next February? Middle of next season, Ace Bailey could be the number one option. Possible? Impossible. Probable? Improbable. What do you think? Cam says, with his talent, it's definitely a possibility. The Jazz knew he was raw coming out of college, but the kid's come out and put in the work. I cannot wait to see what a full offseason with the Jazz staff will do. I'm predicting he'll be an all-star by year 3. Sign off on that right now, wouldn't you, PK? Take all-star year 3? It's done deal.
I don't see it.
Too early? Too much? Too soon?
I think him being the number one option by February, that's fantasy land. No way. There's just no way.
I thought in 3 years.
No.
I think Keontae's going to have the ball in his hands, and Markkanen and Jackson are going to get a lot of shots. It'll be an important piece, but I didn't see him as number one by the middle of next season.
Comparisons are to Donovan Mitchell. And when Donovan Mitchell came in the league, the Jazz, who'd they have on the team? They didn't have anybody who was capable of scoring. They had nobody. Alec Burks, Dante Exum, Favors, Gobert, Rodney Hood.
No.
I mean, I love Jonas Jerebko as much as anybody. But that wasn't happening. Howell, nothing but Neto. Sure. That's a nice little clever nickname. That was the year that David Stockton got in. And we remember him. Was he going to take over? No. So Mitchell was able to do that because they didn't have anybody else. Hayward had just left. And this next season, there is no way that Markkanen and Jaren Jackson are going to be deferring to Ace Bailey. There's just zero chance of that happening.
Joe Ingles isn't walking through that door. Joe was looking to get other people's shots.
They're going to look at him like, kid, you still got to pay your dues. That doesn't mean he's going to have big games, and they're not going to freeze him out. I'm not saying that. But Markkanen been waiting all this time, and now you're going to want him to defer? I want Markkanen to become the man next season. And with that becomes the responsibility that you don't sit over there in street clothes for 40 games like you've been doing every freaking year practically. And your nice hair is all looking modelish. I'm done with that. No, this guy's getting almost $50 million a year. He needs to buck up. And he needs to get his body in shape or mentally, whatever it takes, to be playing at least 70 games next year. And the gloves are going to come off as far as what Markkanen needs to do next season. I mean, we're done with he's a nice guy and he likes it here and he likes the outdoors. I couldn't give a flying you-know-what about that. He needs to show up and he needs to ball at least 70 games unless he has some major injury. The days of him sitting there and smiling on the bench, I'm done with that. And that's got to stop. And he needs to have that mindset because he certainly has the skill set to go out there and be one of the, 15 best players in the league? Yeah, where much is given, much is expected. And he needs to ball next season. And with that, that means everybody else takes a secondary role. Because you can only have one man be the man, and it needs to be marketing.
Think there's a chance they gave the money to the wrong guy?
I don't know. There's a chance for anything.
Yeah. You think there's a likelihood?
If you have a broad question like that, yeah. I believe in his skill. I mean, I follow this kid. His first, his only year in college, obviously, with Arizona. And I thought he was coming to Utah, too, until Arizona did what they did, and he went there. I mean, I don't blame him for that. But this guy has made millions. And I know some people don't want to hear about the money, but I do. And now is the time, or next season being the time. And this team has a chance to be really good, and they need him out there doing his thing.
The money's unavoidable. You only have so much of it to work with. More than ever, the NBA has drawn up that collective bargaining agreement. It's hard to weasel your way around and find more. You get up against the second apron, we've seen teams make hard decisions because they don't want to pay that luxury tax. So as much as you don't want to hear about the money, you've only got so much of it to work with. If you give it to the wrong guy, either because he isn't good enough when he plays or he doesn't play enough because the best ability is availability, then you give it to the wrong guy.
Well, I'm not ready to say that by any stretch. And then Jackson, I'm expecting a big season out of him.
Expect him to do what he does, 20-10.
I see no reason why not.
Show up again, do it again.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, that reduces the opportunities. Cooper Flagg goes to the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm watching that game last night.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the man. He's got the ball in his hands. He's taking all the shots, and great.
Yeah. He shows up, and it's the Donovan Mitchell situation where Hayward had just left, so the shots are available, and he shows up, and Doncic is gone, so the shots are available. Kyrie Irving is hurt, so the shots are available.
And he's pushing 6'10", so he's got all the skill in the world, so that's great. I've got no problem about that. And Ace Bailey, I just don't know if that's the right thing for this team next season to have that type of freedom. In order to be the number one option, that means you have the freedom to do what you see fit. And to me, that is more rebuild mode for Ace Bailey. And I'm being told we're done with rebuild mode. So I don't want to muzzle him or limit him, but at the same time, it has to be within the context of winning. If he can do all that the season starts the end of October, so you basically have November, December, January. So you got about close to 4 months, and let's just say it's the end of October, or the end of February. When Locke's in February. And the thing about
the All-Star break.
The thing that what Locke is talking about is he has to balance what he's told with what he says publicly. And he doesn't say stuff a lot that is without some foundational information. But he can't come out and say it because he's an employee of the team. So he has to straddle that line, and I respect that line, and I don't ever want to put him, certainly not in a public situation. If it's off to the side, that's another story. But I don't ever want to put him in a public situation because he doesn't have to come on with us every Friday, but he chooses to. So I don't want to put him in an awkward situation where he is giving up information that the powers that be don't want to be given up, right? So he has to straddle that line. And I respect that line that he has to straddle because he could just say, hey, I'm not coming on anymore. And I don't want that because we enjoy talking to him. And I think the listening public hears what he's saying. But I think he says stuff based from what other folk might say. Maybe in this case it's just his own observation, him and Ron Boone killing time before a game or in the coffee shop or on the airplane, whatever it might be. I get that. I've been there. I've done all that stuff. And so I can appreciate that. But I just think that under the circumstances, man, that just screams rebuild. And I don't know that I want that. And I don't think anybody wants that. We want to see this team make the postseason. Yeah. But I think he can still make significant progress. Yeah. But we're talking about the number one option here. We're not talking about number two.
I get why you bring up the rebuild. I just don't think that's a possibility. This has gone on so long. They're starting to get pushback from the ticket-buying public and from the fans. And the owner is as big a fan as anyone. Danny Ainge was joking and laughing because it was serious about Ryan asking him, when are we going to win, when are we going to win? That was in like year one. Ryan wants this as bad as all the fans. He grew up a Jazz fan playing junior Jazz basketball. There's a reason they're running those campaigns during the game. So I think if Ace Bailey's the guy next year, it's because either there's injuries and guys can't play, which will be its own problem, or because he's excelled. I don't think they're going to say, hey, let's make this guy the guy, and we'll go through the growing pains with him. I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if it plays out that way. He's got to be good enough to demand it. And the thing about Locke is that Locke not only talks to people at practice and, in the building and all that, but he's been doing this a long time. He knows all the broadcasters around the league. He knows a bunch of scouts around the league. So I wonder how much of this expectation from Ace comes from inside the organization. But you're right. He doesn't just fire stuff off. There's other people watching stuff around the league, and they're telling him stuff, and then he mulls it over. So it's some combination of stuff he thinks, and he may or may not be up in the night, but it's also stuff that a lot of other people think. And they may or may not, be on point and on target.
Yeah.
And they're betting on Ace getting a lot better.
And I am too. I see no reason. Yeah. I don't know what his work ethic is. We'll find out. I'm hoping it's strong. I have no reason to doubt that it isn't. But he has an opportunity to really solidify himself as a big-time player next season, and then beyond that, as that all-star. He asked us what we thought, and to me, Gordon Hayward, was an athletic guy, about this, maybe an inch or two shorter. Not quite as athletic, but I think few people are quite as athletic as Ace Bailey. But Hayward, when he was here in his prime, was a very good player. And I think that Ace Bailey's ceiling is higher than Gordon Hayward's, which that means he's an all-star. He left here as an all-star. It went south with the injury and other circumstances at Boston. But forget about that, what he was here. And he was legitimately an all-star for that one season, and if he would have stayed and had his health and everything, I think he would have continued to be that. So I see by year 3 or 4, certainly by 5, that's who Ace Bailey is. And then I've got these other guys here, Markkanen and Jackson. If they stay, you never know what's going to happen, but if they stay, they're not going to be. They may be a little bit beyond their absolute very best, but not that far, which means this team has a really great opportunity to be good for the next 5 to 7 years.
The interesting with Markkanen will be when he's on the floor and there's a lot of other guys who can score. Because back to your point about Mitchell, he's playing with guys who either could shoot but didn't really want to shoot, like Joe, guys who couldn't shoot, like Gobert, guys who really need to be within 10 feet of the hoop if they were going to shoot, like Rubio. I mean, they were what is it, ham and egg in it. They were really like trying to make all the pieces of the puzzle fit. Markkanen can go get 20 a game. Jackson can go get 20 a game. Keontae George can go get 20 a game. So the interesting thing is how all of that gets balanced. I'm leaning towards there's nobody at 25 a game next year. That was partly a product of you better force feed Markkanen, and he's done it, but he's done it on teams where there just weren't that many guys who could score. And he just hasn't played that many games this year with Keontae, and he hasn't played that many games this year with Jaren Jackson, to be sure. So we haven't really seen him, but when there's more guys who can score at a high level, and it's pretty easy to see how there's 4 guys who could get 20 points on any given night next year. How are any of them going to average 25 or whatever, which is where Donovan Mitchell went. But again, Mitchell went with, he's playing with a couple guys who don't want to shoot, a couple guys who can't shoot, and pretty soon he's getting a ton of FGAs.
Yeah, I mean, in order to score, you got to get FGAs.
A reminder, join Scotty G today from noon to 3. He's at My Hearing Centers at 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy. DJ and PK, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Riley Jensen railing on the limitations. Why can't we get to all those fields that our tax dollars paid for? Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Sunday night, I saw Riley Jensen go to Twitter, really upset that he couldn't get on the high school tracks at a couple of his local high schools, and man, did that resonate. Hundreds of comments. Not everyone agreeing. Some people thinking they should be locked up, some thinking we pay for them, and we should definitely be able to exercise and go play with our kids. And a lot of people have great memories on those fields, but times have changed. Vandalism, some of those artificial turf fields are really expensive. So we got Riley on the phone to kind of talk about it yesterday. He joined us late in the show. Here's our conversation with Riley. So Riley goes on Twitter yesterday and celebrates Easter with a, I don't know, what is this, 800-word post? 271 comments, 218 retweets, 2,000 likes, people calling you out, people pumping you up, you responding to a bunch of them, which just sent people scattering. Riley, did you not have some family event or dinner or something yesterday? I mean, you just had all kinds of time for this.
I did. I think, look, I'm not trying to be the bad guy here. I'm not trying to be a real pain. I was just frustrated yesterday because one of my fondest memories, honestly, was when I grew up, and I'm a member of the predominant faith. We used to watch LDS conference, and then in between, my dad and I would go up to the school and play catch on the football field. Sometimes we'd pull out a timer and do 40-yard dash times. We'd just have fun in between the sessions, and then we'd go back and watch the rest. Now, yesterday happened to be Easter, so it is what it is. But what was frustrating to me yesterday is my son and my daughter wanted to go, and my daughter wanted me. She's running track for her junior high team. She wanted me to time her, and she wanted to work on getting out of the blocks and do some different things. And I went to 2 of the schools that are closest to me, and it's locked down like Fort Knox. Now, I will say this. It was Easter yesterday, so maybe that's part of the reason. But I've been there plenty of times lately where you can't get in. It's locked down like Fort Knox. And, I've looked into the laws before and the different things. And when you're a taxpayer in the neighborhood, you're supposed to – it's called – the law refers to these schools as civic centers. And it says that as long as it's not during school hours or during school activities, that these facilities should be open to the public for use. Now, you can get into it with me about there is some places where it says that they can charge, but I've tried to rent fields there before. Do you know it costs over $400 to rent a football field right now, an hour? So that's reasonable for me as a taxpayer. I'm just frustrated, and I think the reason why it went viral is not because of anything that I said, but I think other people are frustrated about it. And there's all kinds of comments like, well, it's because of dog people and they don't take care of their dogs and there's vandalism. I just think that that's a 1960s dad response to, this is why we can't have nice things. Look, this is nuanced. And there's got to be a way, and there was actually some really good solutions that I saw in response to my tweet or my post that are very, very good responses. And I just think that there has to be a better answer than to just lock it down and make it not possible for me to time my daughter on a track on a Sunday afternoon. That just seems ridiculous to me.
Okay.
No disagreement from you? I mean, come on, PK.
Well,
it's early. Let's go.
I was thinking back to my youth, and when I was living back east, Parsippany High School, and my father and I would go up and throw the football around, and we'd take the dog, and we would literally just throw the football, and my father fancied himself as a kicker, and he would have me hold, and he would kick what he said was a 35-yard field goal. I always told him, I said, yeah, but Dad, when you run 20 yards, you can't count that as part of the distance for the kick. So
nice.
We would have these arguments back and forth, but when DJ was explaining this situation, that's what I thought of.
From day one.
Yeah, of course. I agree with that.
I wonder how much this has changed recently. Riley, you did a good job of characterizing the negativity. There was a local baseball coach who complained that he got in his field all set, and then he found the dugout just absolutely trashed. The Olympus High track and field coach identified himself. Let's hear it for people who identify themselves on Twitter before they say what they have to say. Own it. Love that. A lot of respect for that guy, even though I've never met him. I don't know who he is. And he talked about tracks, getting torn up, and there's 1,000+ athletes trying to use them just at Olympus High, alone. So I get where some of those people are going, but as recently as 15 years ago, I had a kid who had played tennis in elementary school, went away and played a bunch of other sports, and he wanted to make the high school team. He said, Dad, let's go hit. And so we went to 2 local high schools, one of them which I bet you were at, and we played on their tennis courts just a couple of times just so he could play a little bit before tryouts. And then once he was on his team, he'd always play with their friends. So it's not like we had to do it a lot, but they were accessible. They were open. And there were other people there on the tennis courts almost always when we went. We probably went 3 or 4 times. And there were always, people using some of the courts. They were never all in use, but there were other people there. No. So I wonder if that's changed a little bit or if the track is especially protected.
I don't know what the answer is. I feel like it's within the last 5 years it's become really bad. There have been some places that, even 10 years ago were locking it down. And look, I'm not saying that even I have all the answers. I would just like to have a conversation, and I'm working my angles to be able to have conversations about this. This isn't just something that I complain about all the time. I've actually looked into the law on it. I've looked into some different things. And I just think, look, vandalism will go down if there's a bunch of people on the courts and a bunch of people on the tracks, watching other people. I don't know the solution. I threw out maybe a bad solution to get security guards, and people are like, well, this will cost this much and this much and this much. But I know there's got to be some common sense, solutions to this problem because, look, my daughter's 13. She's going to run on some of these tracks next year. She's in junior high. She wants look, in my book, Pure Unadulterated Guts, we talk about this, about how since 2007, when the iPhone was released, in 2012, when we reached critical mass, which means more than 50% of people had smartphones, teenagers in 8th, 10th, and 12th grades are often feel left out of things, and a lot of times they feel lonely, and it's through the roof where it's gone since 2012. So here I am as a parent and as a father trying to fight against that as much as I can by getting my kids outdoors, by getting my kids active. And it's just frustrating that schools that know these numbers and know these problems have doors locked down. And, people have been getting on me, and they're like, well, have you ever tried a public park? Yeah. Tell me where there's a track at a public park that I can work on things with my daughter. Tell me where that is, And I don't know. I'm just frustrated. There has to be a better way.
What are you doing, PK?
I just thought of a Circle K.
Mayberry?
Circle K commercial in Phoenix. There's gotta be an easier way. There's gotta be a better way.
I'm with Riley. I went right away to Mayberry. I'm like,
I thought he was like, I thought he was thinking like that I just want to go back to the 50s where everything was more simple.
I can appreciate and respect that, Richie. It's no problem. I do recall that one time when we were kicking footballs on the field. The high school was up a little hill, and you walked down. There was tennis courts. Then there was a practice field. Then there was the actual field. And it was a gradual decline. Not that much, but a little bit of a decline. So we would park the car at the top, walk down, and this is New Jersey for you. While we were kicking the ball and throwing the ball, we look up, and there's two guys in my father's car trying to jumpstart it and steal it. True story. Absolute true story.
Well, hey, look, people in Utah are acting like that's happening at every high school because we're leaving the doors open.
And so my father says, they're stealing the car. What are we going to do? We take off running.
How old are you?
12.
Okay.
Yeah, we take off running, and it's not a big hill, but it is a little bit of an incline. And we take off running. We're hauling after him, screaming at him. Ah! We're using Dan Hurley's mother's language, which I had heard from my mother 1,000 times over, and my grandmother, for that matter. And as we got within where they could see us and certainly hear us, they jumped out of the car, got in their car, and peeled off.
Oh.
So the car did not get stolen.
But your dad was spot on. He wasn't just being paranoid. He was spot on.
In terms of, what do you mean?
They were trying to steal the car.
Oh, yeah, they were trying to steal the car. Yeah,
he was definitely right.
No, you could see why they were in the car trying to do the push it with the clutch thing to get it to go and then to take off. Yeah. And I used some choice language that...
right then? When you were 12? You were throwing it out then?
Hell yes.
I thought you were going to say heck yes. You're like damage, Riley. Damage. This was a big deal.
Right. But it's funny that, and I didn't know all this until DJ said it, that when you first said that, I hearkened back. We're going back many, many years. My father died in 2015. So we're going back many, many years. And I still, to this day, have that memory of him with me, squatting down as you would, holding the ball, and with my index finger, we all know that, and him running to kick the ball. And and I hadn't thought about that in a long time, but now that I think about it, it's one of the sweetest memories I had. Mm-hmm. And it still have.
Teacher. Yeah, my dad was a high school teacher, and I played basketball, baseball, and football on the Bonita Vista High Fields, just killing time, waiting for him a few times when I got dropped off there when Mom was taking the other kids other places. And take a basketball, go shoot some baskets while your dad finishes up. Okay. Good time.
Listen, my dad was a school teacher. Some of my fondest memories, he used to teach community ed classes at night. He was he worked hard. And I remember that sometimes when I would ask him to go on a Saturday or Sunday over to the fields to hit baseballs or do something, I can remember that his face was tired, and I remember him making the effort anyway. And those are great memories to me too. I just want to look. I just feel like kids should be able to go to a field with their dad every once in a while, and it shouldn't be a big deal. Shouldn't be a big deal.
If you dove deeper into this, PK, you would love it, because Riley, who's generally a pretty easygoing guy, got super combative. Edward posts, every organization is scared bleepless of liability, and Riley tweeted back at him the Kobe meme, soft, with Kobe shaking his head. And it's not kid Kobe. This is veteran shaved head Kobe. Soft. I got titles. You'll never get there. Soft.
I can remember that circumstance when they tried to rip off the car and we warded them off. Mm-hmm. He took out his smokes and we both sat there relaxed, sitting down, and we had a smoke, the two of us, and we went home.
One guy's tweeting at Riley, too many things get ruined by locals. This taxpayer statement always gets me as a retired administrator. Your taxes pay for the fire department, Riley. Can you go in and slide down the fire pole? The taxes pay for the police. Can you go and play at a 911 call center?
Why would you want to do that?
Those places, and those places aren't called civic centers in the law. So it's not a tired argument, and I'm glad you're tired of it because I'm going to keep arguing about it.
You go, boy.
These people are they're just ticking me off because they're coming at me like I'm some kind of a jerkwad, like this is some sort of like a real nuisance that I'm coming up with. And so I'm tired of it. I'm not going to put up with stuff. There was one guy that tweeted at me, and I go, "Oh, I bet you're fun at parties." You know,
you tweeted multiple people that. I'm getting to that. You tweeted Utah code. You were copying and pasting code and tweeting it at people. I was entertained last night when I saw this. I should have gone to bed, but I was like, how bad is Riley going to go after these people?
I'm just tired of these weak sauce answers about but people poop on the field. Their dogs poop on the field. Dude, come on.
Yeah, I don't know that people poop on the field. That'd be really gross.
Yeah, I corrected that, but it's just I'm a little bit tired of it. And I'm not gonna put up with you calling me a jerk because I even when I posted I put frustrated dad alert, like
you did,
which to me means don't read it. You don't have to read it if you don't want to, but this is how I feel today. You know,
climb the fence and go, you bleep and bleep. You went right back at that guy. Good work, Riley.
Because that guy, it's really easy to tote my 6-year-old daughter over a 6-foot fence. Clearly a guy who doesn't have a family or hasn't had a family. It just ticked me off. All these answers, I'm like, wow, I never thought about jumping the fence. I've only jumped hundreds in my life. I mean, at Utah State University, when I was a kid, I was sneaking over the fence to get into games because I couldn't afford it. And that was in the 80s when games were like $2. Don't lecture me on jumping over a fence when we can figure out a solution where I don't have to jump a fence with my kids.
Hey, I can out poverty you, though, buddy. You two, your dads were teachers. My father cleaned the toilets in the schools.
See, there you go. You got us.
I'm not going to lie. My dad did that as well. So we're equal.
He actually was the janitor. How about this? At a school that he cleaned in the afternoon, evening, where my sister was the principal.
Good for him, man. I actually can really respect that.
Me too. Absolutely, I really respect it. Me too.
Good, honest living. Trying to take care of his kids.
He did it very well. The best of his ability.
Yep. You're going to get me teared up now about good dads.
I'm already there.
Maybe I should go. Yep.
All right, one last thing before you go, and we can have you back on to talk about this another time. But I know you hear stuff about from all the local schools. You know people at every school now, and you hear stuff about spring football and all that. I know somebody who went to a BYU practice, and they're not a BYU fan, but they're part of the football community, and the football community is, super interconnected here with all the coaching hires that have been made. And they came away blown away by Bear Bachmeier. They said he's way better than he was as a freshman.
Wow.
And they were comparing him to Alex Smith. And I'm here to tell you, they are not a Cougar fan. This was not about the blue goggles and wishing it
That's
were
quite
so.
a recommendation by Ron McBride.
Yeah. So, have you heard that? Have you seen that? Do you believe that?
I've heard that he's doing very well in spring. This is exactly what you want to happen. I'm very happy that he's doing what he's supposed to do. But one of the things that happens once you've been the starter for a year and then you come back is just guys respond to you better because they know that you're the guy, and things are naturally going to go better in spring. But nobody on Texas Tech's football team really cares that Bear Bachmeier is better because they're like, he can't really throw the ball if I can freaking sack him in 1.21 seconds. So I'm always cautious about spring ball. It doesn't mean that he's not checking the box and doing what he's supposed to do, and I'm really happy for him because I think he's a great I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great person. I see him doing a lot of things out in public, and I'm not sure that if that was my son that I'd want him to do as much as he's doing off the field. I'd be like, hey, just play football, and everything will take care of itself. Be a nice, gracious person, but you don't have to go to every public signing and all that kind of stuff. But he's got the energy and he's got the ability to do that, and I like it. I'm just very cautious about anything that people say about spring ball.
All right, there's Riley Jensen. A reminder, don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, you can win tickets to see Weezer with the Shins and Silverson Pickups at the Maverick Center September 15th. Buy your tickets at livenation.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Kelly Poppinga. Where does the BYU defense stand as spring football ends? You'll hear from Kelly next. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. BYU wrapping up spring football. Where does Kelly Poppinga think his defense stands? Here's the new BYU defensive coordinator with the media.
For me, coordinating here for the first time, I thought it was a ton of good practice for me, especially in the scrimmage situations. Coaching with new coaches, with Coach Walker and Coach Warren and Coach Chad, and our whole staff, just that whole cohesion is coming together, and and our players getting used to my style of how I coordinate, and our other coaches. It's priceless to have what we just had and went through, and so I thought it went really well. Everybody's going to say that, obviously, but I feel really good where we're at. I think we got a great senior leadership. I think we got great players coming back that have a ton of experience. And so really now it's just really refining all these things that we learned in spring ball and then continuing to learn and grow throughout the summertime. I told our guys a lot of championships are won from now until fall camp starts. And so I believe the real difference in this program is going to come down to now how we lead through April and May and June and July leading up to fall camp. And so I'm really excited to see these guys lead. I think Keanu Tonavasa and Isaiah Glasker and some of these other seniors, Evan Johnson, are going to take the lead on that. And I'm just really excited to see these guys continue to grow and develop and help us get to a Big 12 championship and get into the playoff and make a run there. But first things first is day by day, just getting ourselves better to compete this fall.
Perfect. Our first question is going to be from Jay Catch.
Yeah, Kalani, you talked to us earlier on in spring camp and talked about the install going on with just your kind of unit philosophy defensively. Did you get it all in, or is there still places or things you need to still install coming up in training camp?
The thing about defensive coaches, there's always more to install. We love everything, Jake. So anyway, it's just we got mostly everything we wanted to get in. I would actually say we got in more than we thought we were going to get in. And a lot of that just has to be I think comes from there's a lot of carryover from last season. But there's some new stuff too as well. And those were the main things. I would say the newer things is what we focused on the most, just because some of that stuff is going to be, there's just a little bit of learning. But I feel really comfortable with our install. I think Kalani felt good of how fast things went and how fast our guys picked up things. And I think a lot just goes, we're experienced. Like, we're not dealing with a bunch of, freshmen coming in or, new starters. We got a ton of returning starters. So I think the flow of that went really well. And, really excited where we're at right now.
Were there one or two players in your mind that stood out among the rest of the defense that may have, earned a spot?
Yeah, Evan Johnson, he got a little banged up near the end of spring ball. Nothing serious, just a little hammy. But, he anytime he was out there, man, that guy is just a major difference maker for us. And I'm really excited about him. And I thought Trey Alexander finished really strong in spring ball. But other than that, I feel really, really good with three safeties right now with Tommy Prasis and Falitau and Rader, and I feel good with Keanu and great with Hunter Clegg and all these guys that have played. Cade Ulaves look great and Jay Clifton, and I feel really, really good with the guys that we have right now. I can't single one guy out. I really can't. There's guys that make plays every single day, but I can tell you what, right now, I'm really glad Cade Ulaves here. That dude's a really good player, and then you get Glasker back in the after the off season here. He'll be healthy and well here in a couple weeks. I just think we have a really good football team and we have a chance. But I've said this to you guys before. That doesn't mean anything, right? We got to go put the work in and go earn it and get ourselves ready to have a great season and start prepping for Utah Tech and the rest of the Big 12.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Kelly, with how experienced your team is, as you noted, with all the experience returning, how maybe established coming out of spring is the 2 and 3 deep for your defense?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It is as good as it's been since I've been here. All right. And so, I think a lot has to do we recruited really well the last 3 years. Props to Coach Hill for helping out with that. He did a great job recruiting, and our staff in the past, and I think we're going to continue to do that. I think we have as good as a 2 or 3 deep that I've ever had. Now, we got to put it on. I keep saying that, right? Because, everybody wants to give the expectations. We have higher expectations than anybody. But I feel really good at every position. The one position where I think we got to continue to develop some depth is at the corner position. But I think we have some really good young guys there that, Jordan Chris, Kevin Doe, some of these guys that haven't played a lot that I thought had really solid springs. That would be the one position where I think we got to continue to develop some guys and get us a 4th and 5th corner. But other than that, I feel really good about all the other positions.
To follow up on that, are there, the last couple of years in roster construction, there was a post-spring portal. Is that even a way to maybe go in and any way to go add some additional personnel to that cornerback position, or is it just kind of develop from within without a post-spring window?
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just continue to develop from within and get the guys here that we have ready. And anybody that's left over in the portal right now, for the most part, they're guys that, they're there for a reason. A lot of those guys, probably not Power 4 players. So, I like the guys that we have. I really do. At that position now. It's just, I think, just getting them more and more experience. And like I said, Jordan Chris, Kevin Doe, those guys that were getting reps with, as our 4th and 5th guy, I thought they really came along. Matthias Leach is another guy. We moved him from safety to corner, and he showed us some stuff that I was really excited about. I think Lewis Walker's doing a great job with those guys. He's coaching those guys super hard and, helping them be, I think more and more I'm trying to think of the right word, but getting them more and more comfortable with the scheme that we have. He's done a great job, spent a lot of time with them. And I think we'll just continue to develop the guys we have.
Next question from Jay Drew.
Yeah, Kelly, I asked this question because I put out a kind of a post-spring depth chart for my own publication and for a national one. Will the actual depth chart, the terminology, the like 4-3 defense, will that change under your direction as opposed to Jay Hill's?
No. If you look at Jay's defense and this defense, it's all the same. I mean, we're very multiple. We'll be 4-3, we'll be 3-4, we'll be 3-3-5, we'll be 4-2-5. We do it all. And so, as far as the depth chart goes, it'll stay, I think, very similar to what we've had before. I don't think I'd see any changes with that.
And I was just going to ask you about the defensive line. You said you're happy at all positions. Do you feel like it doesn't seem like you added much from the transfer portal there? Does that mean you're really happy with the guys you have in the trenches there?
Yeah, I'm really happy with the guys there. I think Coach Puha, Coach Kaha, and Coach Anderson's had an influence on that too as well. They've done a great job of developing. We have a lot of young guys that haven't really played for us that I think are going to be very, very good players. Kini Fonohema being one of them, Vince Tautua being another one, Kendall Wall being another one, and that's not even mentioning the 7 or 8 guys that we have coming back that have playing experience. So I'm super excited, and we're big, we're long, we're physical. We've recruited very well at that position. I would say probably better than any position. That's the position we probably recruited the best. And so, we don't want to live in the portal. We want to be a team that recruits out of high school and develops within, and it helps these guys grow and develop in the culture. And every now and again, take a guy from the portal if we have to plug in, here and there. But we're going to recruit in high school and develop from the high school ranks.
Next question from Casey Lundquist.
Hey, Coach. Jay and Mitch had covered a few of mine, so I just a brief one for you. Do you feel like you have an identity that's formed during spring camp from your defense?
That's a great question, man. I think the identity has been here, and there's a little addition here and there, but I think if you look at this defense just over the years, from the time that Kalani ran it to Coach Anderson into Jay Hill, there's a true identity where we're going to play man, we're going to play some cover 3, we're going to mix in some too high, and there's going to be some new little wrinkles in there too as well. And so our players know what that is, our program knows what it is, and the rest of the world will find out here in a couple weeks or months. But I think that identity is, I think when people watch BYU defense, and they've learned this, I think, over the last 3 years, we're going to be multiple, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to be really, really good at 3 or 4 things, but it's going to look like a lot to a lot of people. But we're going to continue to do what we do and do what the scheme's done for a long time.
Next question from Sean Walker.
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to follow up with a guy that you mentioned, one of the new guys in Kedu Luave, kind of what he's been doing for you guys. Was there anything that kind of surprised you about him when you got him on campus and started working with him in spring ball? Or was he a little bit of kind of what you expected from his tape at Cal? I asked that because I covered him a whole bunch in high school, and there was a time when I thought he might wind up being a Division I running back. So I just wondered if there was anything that kind of surprised you about him.
I was surprised of how fast he is. He's maybe the second fastest guy on our team right now. And we got some fast guys, really fast guys. And so we got, I think there's 7 or 8 guys on our team that are sub like 10-6 guys. And when you put football pads on all these guys and you get them on the football field, we've clocked Cade in practice at 22 miles an hour, which is fast as most of our corners. So I would say I watched this film and I thought he was fast, and he looked really fast, but he's faster and more explosive than I thought he was. And so and when that guy pulls the trigger in the run game and he comes downhill, I mean, it's as quick and as fast as I've seen. And so really excited to see what he's going to do in games in the Big 12.
Next question from Mitch Harper.
Kelly, you'll appreciate this. I was thinking back to the days when he had special names in his defense with the old 3-3-5, the Cat and the Cougar. I'm curious, with your defense, do you have any special names of certain positions in this multiple defensive scheme that you have?
Oh, man, I've wanted to. We've actually made it even simpler. We just call them letters. We got the F, the B, the M, the R. We're just, we've made it even simpler. I don't know why we've done that, but that's kind of something we've done with the coaching staff. But, man, I need to get more creative than that, don't I? We got the F backer, Mitch. That doesn't sound very violent, right? So, we've kind of simpled it down a little bit. But no crazy names yet. Maybe that'll come here in the future.
And then last thing from me, I was curious, just an update maybe on a guy that, started with you as a defensive end, and he's kind of worked around at Sam linebacker. I'm curious, an update, Ephraim Asiata. Just maybe what you see from Ephraim in spring and the outlook for him.
Yeah, Ephraim continues to do a great job. He's been great since he's been here. Super great athlete. We just got to continue to get him bigger and stronger. That's been what's held him back a little bit. But super smart guy, knows the defense really well, plays the rover position, I think, pretty well, especially in the pass game. I think he does a great job. But we just got to continue to get him some size and strength that will hold him up there in those first and second downs.
Thanks.
All right, last question from Jay Catch.
Yeah, Kelly, you talked about the veteran nature of your defense, but we've seen some young guys like Braxton Lindsay, et cetera, really stand out in the portions we've been able to watch. Do you think some of your younger players are able to crack that 2 deep and may have done so already in spring?
Braxton. I think Braxton's had a really solid spring, especially for a freshman coming in. But I think there's been, Glasker's been out, Newsie's been out. Some of those veteran guys have been out at that position. That's given him an opportunity. So I think it's really hard for freshmen to play, just in this day and age in college football, especially how much defense we have in. But I think for what we've done, Braxton's done a good job of that, and I think he has a bright future here, and he's made a ton of plays. But like I said before, there's been some key guys out at that position that'll push all those guys. I think what those guys have seen is Braxton's going to push those guys in the fall, which is awesome. I think competitive, having that depth is going to make the competitive nature of that position even better. And so I'm excited to see all those guys compete in the fall.
What's going to keep you up at night between now and August?
Shoot, man. What vacations I'm going to go on, honestly, and how I'm going to control my girls during vacation time. That's where my mind's going to be honest with you. But the football part of it, I feel really good because I got a great staff. A-Rod's going to be mad he's sitting over here right now, but I love our offense. I think we play great complementary football. And so when we play great complementary football, really our offense, when we're running the ball and controlling the ball like we do, it makes it really easy to play defense. So I just think we've done a great job of that the last couple of years. So, I sleep well at night when those things happen.
There's Kelly Poppinga with the media as BYU wraps up spring football. We're going to take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.